Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Adam with AK Lighting, here to help you install and or improve your own landscape lighting. Well, in today's video, I want to have more of a real talk with you. So, as the title says, why you should not DIY your landscape lighting. So it probably sounds a little weird coming from me because my entire channel here on YouTube is about helping you install your own landscape lighting. So, do a DIY job. But I really want to have a real talk with you right now about that. So the reason why I started this channel is because as someone who installs landscape lighting professionally, I noticed that there was a group of people who installed their own landscape lighting by buying Home Depot or Lowe's or Amazon or Walmart lights and then doing it themselves because they're kind of handy. Now that group of people, yeah, there are some people that do it right, but there is a lot of people who do it wrong. And I feel like it really, one, it does a disservice to themselves, but it also does a disservice to landscape lighting in general. And so this channel was meant to, and is meant to, help people like you install your own landscape lighting professionally. There is a huge difference between somebody who is an amateur and somebody who is a professional at it. And so I want to just make sure that I share the difference between that. So just like anything, like if you have a master chef versus somebody who's an amateur at cooking like I am, the food tastes very differently. Or if you have a master carpenter or a master plumber, there's a very big difference between paying somebody to come fix your plumbing versus trying to jerry-rig it and duct tape and try to use the tools that you have and maybe taking way longer than you should have. And that's the same thing with landscape lighting. Landscape lighting is a luxury item because when you do it right, the landscape lighting should last 20 plus years. The fixture shouldn't start wearing apart or breaking or falling over or wearing out. So just like anything, if you have a professional versus an amateur, there's going to be a huge difference between those two. Like, for instance, what if there's a professional chef or plumber or carpenter? They're going to show way better work than an amateur. And landscape lighting is not an exception to that. And so there are 5 things that I want to go over that most people mess up or fail to realize how important these things are, that separates themselves from being an amateur from the professionals. So the first thing that I want to say that separates the amateur from the professional is the design. I think a lot of people forget how important the design aspect of landscape lighting is. So you don't just put any light in any place, and you don't put a light just under a tree or by a house or next to the fence or on the fence. You don't just do that. There's a reason why lights are placed in certain positions, and there's a reason why certain lights are placed there instead of other lights. And I think a lot of times people forget that, or they don't realize that there's such a big difference. So for instance, take this picture. This picture is extremely professional. The landscape lighting looks absolutely amazing, and you can tell that this customer spent a lot of money, but they paid for a service done by a professional, whereas this picture is done by an amateur. And right away you can figure out that it was not designed very well. And so that is the first thing that I want to mention, is the design aspect. Now the second thing that I want to mention is the quality of lights. Like I mentioned earlier, landscape lighting, the light should last 20 plus years. If you're getting less than 10 years out of your lights, then you have bought the wrong lighting system. And a lot of people on this channel, they put in the comments below how they talk about how solar lights are really good and they're amazing. But the thing is, most solar lights don't last even a year. And if they do last longer than a year, maybe 3 years tops. You want something that's going to be there for a very long time. So the second thing that I would mention that separates amateurs from professionals is the quality of lights. So the third thing that I want to mention is the amount of light. So a lot of people, and this kind of goes with the design, they don't know how many lights to put in. And even if there is somebody who's a customer of a professional landscape lighting company, they might want to save some money and not do the whole landscape lighting project. Now the thing about that is, when you do landscape lighting right, you have the right amount of lights in the right amount of places. So you don't want to have too few. which a lot of people end up doing. So take this picture for instance. This is a professional landscape lighting job, and you can tell that there are a lot of lights but not too many. If you take this amateur lighting, you can see that there are dark spots and some places that really should have lights, and there's too much of a contrast between dark spots and light spots, and then the overall lighting does not look very good. And so that's the third thing that I would say is the amount of lights. So the fourth thing that I would say is cutting corners. It's really easy for a professional to look at a landscape lighting system and see that somebody had cut corners. So don't cut corners. So the professional will not cut corners, but the amateur will. And those corners, yes, they might save some time, some energy, some labor, maybe some materials, but when it's not done right and not done the right way and you cut corners, then the overall system isn't that good. And so a professional company, a professional landscape lighting system, they won't cut any corners and they will do it right. And that lighting system will last a very long time. So I would say that's the number 4 thing, is cutting corners. So the 5th thing that I would say is having bad connectors. Oh my gosh, there are lots of bad connectors out there on Amazon, Walmart, the connectors that come in the boxes. So don't wire up your landscape lighting with bad connectors. If there is anything that could go wrong with your landscape lighting over the course of a few years, is the connector. If you don't have good connectors, then the lighting system won't last very long. That's another thing that separates professionals from amateurs. The professionals use professional waterproof connectors versus amateurs, they'll just use whatever came in a box. And so that's the 5th thing that I would say is the connectors. So there you go. Those are the 5 things that separate professionals from amateurs. So if you want to have landscape lighting to look like this and like this, instead of an amateur's landscape lighting system that looks more like this and like this, then you need to get professional help, whether by me or some other professional. And it just so happens that because you're watching this video, this channel is dedicated to helping people like you install and improve your own landscape lighting system. And I also have resources available. I have a free PDF, I have another PDF that goes over lights that I recommend, and I have a course that I put together that goes over the installation from start to finish, and it has everything that you need to know about designing right, the lights, getting the right lights, how to not cut corners, and how to do everything like a professional. So again, if you want something to look more like this, then get professional help. And you can find all of these resources in the description or comments below. And yes, I am promoting the things that I created, but the whole reason I created it was for you. I wanted to make sure that there was something out there, because there isn't anything out there that helps people in the way that these resources do. There isn't anything out there that can help you with your own landscape lighting and to do it like a professional. And so that's why I created it. It's for you. So if you want to have that lighting, then again, get professional help. So back to that original statement of why you should not DIY your landscape lighting. And I want to add to that is why you should not DIY your landscape lighting without professional help. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And feel free to watch any of my other videos about installing landscape lighting, about lighting fixtures, connectors, whatever. I mean, this channel is meant for you. Best of luck with your landscape lighting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.